Now for perhaps the most famous practice technique, practicing S-L-O-W-L-Y, slowly. Now, practicing slowly is a very useful practice technique because it applies to pretty much every single piece in the repertoire, and it's something that I highly recommend as your first line of defense in trying to figure out what it is that you're doing and what it is that you want to achieve. So one thing to note, though, is practicing slowly. There are some ways that are more effective than others, and what I want to do is break down what I found personally helps to make that process a little bit more efficient. So I'm going to only touch on a couple. And one other thing to note is that a lot of the techniques in this course can be combined. So I'm going to play Paganini's Fifth Caprice, first at a regular tempo, and then I'm going to break it down how I would go about it a bit more slowly. Okay, so let's say, for instance, the intonation's the issue. So let's say that's where we're starting. Okay, so what's the issue? First, the second note. The first time I did it, it was a bit flat. So when I play it a second time, I think, oh, the second finger can go a little bit more high. So it's very good when you're practicing slowly. And I mean, even slower than that. See, it was a bit flat and I adjusted. So now this time I'm going to bring it up a little bit more high. And let's see, maybe I overshoot. So now it's too sharp, but now I kind of know I need to bring it down a bit. So between the two, I now know where to place it. So it's very useful when you're practicing very slowly to focus on training your ear. Because when you're practicing, always try to go to the note before, the note that was a little bit out of tune or it didn't quite sound the way you wanted it to. Because then when you go, you're practicing the movement between those two notes. We're not trying to think of like, oh, the C natural is out of tune, so let's just work on the C natural. We're going to the note before. So in this case, the C natural is this note. So in order to get to that note, I have to start from somewhere. If I'm starting directly from the C natural, that's great. But even if that's the first note of a piece, a lot of times we don't really practice the preparation to get to that note when we're starting the piece. So there's always a preparation for everything. And going to the note before in Paganini Fifth Caprice. Okay, is the E natural where I want it to be, or was the finger still adjusting during the note? These are the questions that you're going to constantly ask yourself. And it's a very intellectually draining activity sometimes, but also enriching, because you're constantly thinking about all these different aspects. And one thing I want to just reiterate, or iterate for the first time in this case, is that when you're practicing slowly, it's a good chance to learn how to breathe and relax at the same time.